What we're focusing on in COP26 is actually action. You know, we need the world needs to take action, and that's why we've got about 130 heads of state and heads of government coming to Glasgow, which is the biggest conference we've ever hosted.
In Cape, they decided to bless us with their quite interesting weather there, but c'est la vie. October 18th, 2021. Now, in our socials today, we are joined in studio by the British High Commissioner, Mr. Charles Moore, who's going to be talking to us about COP26. And so in the 2021 United Nations Climate Change Conference, which is also known as the COP26, is the 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference. It is scheduled to be held in the city of Glasgow, Scotland, between October 31st and November 12th this year, under the presidency of the United Kingdom. We are again privileged to have the British High Commissioner, Mr. Charles Moore, in studio with us to talk to us about the conference and its significance for Namibia and the world at large. A very good morning to you, Commissioner Moore, and thank you very much for joining us again. This is the second time you are joining us on Sibon Moore in the Morning.
Indeed. Morning, Mo. Thank you for having me back.
So there is a lot that's going on in the world. Talk to us a bit about COP26 and why does it matter for the land of the brave?
Well, yeah, COP26, as you said, it's the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Conference of the Parties, but that's all quite a big mouthful. So we call it the 26th Conference of the Parties, or COP26. We're holding it in Glasgow. I mean, climate change is a global challenge for everybody. Things have got hugely worse over the past few decades. And I think the whole world is now in agreement that something needs to be done. You know, I was listening to David Attenborough the other day, who said that what we do in the next few years actually impacts on the world for the next few thousand years, which is very true. You know, the Antarctic ice cap is melting 3 times faster than it was 25 years ago. The hottest 20 years on record have been all in the last 23 years. So it's we can't sit back and ignore it any longer. Climate change is an issue, and it's a big issue for Namibia as well. You know, you've had droughts in the past few years. Temperatures are rising. It's an arid country anyway, so this is a big problem for the world. It's not just for developed countries or developing countries.
Right. So you did preempt me for my next question, but then we're going to move on. What are the key goals of COP26 that everybody should be aware of, not only in Namibia, but also just, you know? Yeah.
Well, you know, what we're focusing on in COP26 is actually action. You know, we need the world needs to take action, and that's why we've got about 130 heads of state and heads of government coming to Glasgow, which is the biggest conference we've ever hosted. But that shows the scale of the challenge and the need to get the whole world to mobilize to get it right.
Right.
What we're after, net zero is the key thing. In fact, Namibia has its goal for net zero in 2030, which is excellent. But then, you know, Namibia is a sort of net importer rather than exporter of greenhouse gas and carbon dioxide. So we want the world to be global net zero by the mid-century. We want to accelerate the move to clean energy, stop using coal, stop using oil, using more electric vehicles, climate-friendly actions like that. We need to limit the global temperature rise to 1.5% above pre-industrial levels, and at the moment we're well on course for going above 2%, possibly even towards 3% by the end of the century. So we've got to try and stop that, and mobilising global climate finance as well. The UK proposed that there should be $100 billion created as a fund by developed industrialized countries so that the world can tackle the impact of climate change.
I mean, in addition to the $100 billion, what again is the UK looking at doing to combat climate change, both at home and of course in Namibia specifically?
Well, we're trying to lead by example.
Right.
I mean, you know, we are one of the countries responsible for climate change over the past 200 years since pre-industrial times. We have an industrialized economy. But we have cut our own emissions by more than 40% since 1990. So we're well on the way. That's the fastest rate in the G7. We're the first major economy to pass legislation about climate change. which about getting to net zero in 2050. We're the largest producer at the moment of offshore wind energy, which actually is relevant for Namibia as well, because you've got superb wind energy off the coast of Swakop and Walvis. And we doubled our climate finance in 2019 to over 11 billion pounds.
Right.
So we're trying to lead by example, but this isn't something that one country can do alone. This is something that the whole world has to be engaged in, and that's why we're chasing real commitments at COP26 and action by all players.
I mean, we do only really have one Earth.
We do.
Yeah.
We only get one shot at this.
Definitely.
If it doesn't work, it's not going to be good.
Yeah. Before we let you go, we do know that COVID-19 is here. It has been here, and probably going to be here for a while still. How is this considered within the ambit or within the discussions at COP26?
Well, I mean, it's been a real challenge because, I mean, hosting 130, 140 heads of state in the context of COVID, we've got 30,000 delegates descending on Glasgow for this conference. So this is a massive impact coming from all around the world.
Right.
We've put in place as much COVID protocol as we can manage. So all the meetings, social distancing, masks, hygiene will be front and centre of this conference. We have lifted any restrictions for delegates travelling, so they don't have to isolate. In fact, we're off the red list now in Namibia, which is excellent news. So delegates no longer have to isolate. They do need to take some tests through the conference, though, just to make sure that everybody stays healthy.
Right.
We don't want people descending on Glasgow and getting infected or actually causing any problems for UK public health. So it's a major challenge. But as you say, COVID we're going to have to live with for life now. So hopefully in Namibia we're over the worst of it. I think the figures are showing a very positive trend. The figures for vaccinations, the figures for new infections going down. And so I think hopefully we're heading in the right direction.
Oh, definitely. Commissioner Moore, thank you very much for your time. And I really, really do hope that all that is aimed at being achieved at the COP26 is definitely achieved. And of course, you did mention action, and let's see we get some commitment from the bigger players, as it were, and let's see.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was Commissioner Charles Moore talking to us about COP26 happening this year, October 31st to November 12th, 2021, at the Presidency of the United Kingdom, and it is going to be held in Glasgow, Scotland this year. 99 FM, your inspiration station. That is what we do all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.